Oh, God. Oh, my God.
But Ryan, they still do it like in person together, you know, like they're friends and stuff.
Nick and I didn't really hang out that much before we started doing this.
Well, yeah, it really did increase our FaceTime together.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
We got dumb faces. It's
Yeah.
rough to look at.
We need a better budget so that way I can stay at home.
Forgive me, I've got a bit of a cold. Well, I'm getting over a cold, so I sound like shit. And I only slept 1 hour last night, which is really terrible.
Yeah, that's rough.
I got 3 hours of sleep.
He's really fishing for sympathy on this one. I don't think
am.
it's deserved. The guy chose to have a child.
It wasn't even that. I just couldn't sleep. Like I couldn't fall asleep. It was, you know, that feeling of drifting off to sleep. I would just get there and it was like purgatory.
This is not a problem I can identify with.
Oh, yeah. No,
No, you fall asleep instantly.
I've slept with you. It's
I'm a
annoying.
professional sleeper.
Yeah.
He slept next to me, not with me.
I was going to say, you guys seem very
Whatever.
familiar.
You know,
We've all
Whatever.
seen each other's penises.
Yeah. If
Yeah, I just drink to forget. So.
I heard that on another podcast that I listened to of your guys, that penis discussions. I also know the circumcision status of everybody, I think.
I keep forgetting, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my homework, you know?
Yeah, we appreciate that.
it's good to know, Ryan, that you and I still have like milestones to, you know, reach out for.
Yeah, I think, we tend to stay a little bit more private in terms of our personal lives on our podcast, but, you know,
Nah.
I respect what you guys
how can
do.
you podcast with someone whose penis you don't know what they look like?
It's the mystery. The mystery.
You have not stared into each other's soul.
I like to position my mic so it's kind of like at the same angle as if Sean's penis were looking at me, and I'm just screaming at it for
It
an
feels
hour.
familiar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
Just like, why are you here? What are you doing?
we're starting real strong. Starting real strong, guys.
Oh, if we started, I thought we were still in like the let's meet each other phase, you know?
Yeah, no, I think this is how we meet each other.
Yeah.
It's sort of like dogs.
This is how it goes.
Fair enough.
We just do this until I inevitably go, welcome back to Cage Match, colon, a roundabout way of meeting Nicolas Cage.
Was that it? Was that you saying it?
So casual.
That was it. That was it.
Fuck you, Nick. I'm great at segues.
That one
Yeah.
kind of worked.
It was close.
I'm your host, Sean, here with my co-host
Nick, I'm Nick.
and our producer.
Peter, hello.
And this week, we have some special guests. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Okay. I'm Derek. Hi, everyone. I co-host a different Nicolas Cage podcast called Coming of Cage with Ryan.
Yes, and all the things that he just said apply to me as well, but in reverse.
You guys have you've been pretty prolific. You've been really pumping out episodes.
Yeah, every 2 weeks we try and knock out a new one. It doesn't seem that prolific to me, but I'm glad somebody is impressed by it. I'll take what I can get, for sure.
How often do you guys put out a new episode?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
And you only watch one movie?
We're not skipping out on half of his filmography. We're going through the whole thing. We're not just cherry picking the best movies.
Yeah,
So,
they try
you know.
a lot harder is the thing.
Fair.
And we tend to treat ourselves more like critics. We take ourselves a little more seriously than maybe some other people would. So yeah, that's kind of where we come from.
Of each other, mostly.
Yeah, well,
We've sat through Zondali and Prisoners of the Ghostland and,
yeah, we've seen
We've done
all
those.
those.
you know,
Listen,
the gems.
Zondali is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is. I love the
It is
Judge
something.
Reinhold mustache.
And
Yes.
fake ear.
The fake ear.
That
Yeah.
him looking at the camera, you've turned into a gift that I get sent constantly.
How would you describe your show, just real quickly?
Well, basically, we have a wheel of Nic Cage movies. We call it our Wheel O Cage, and we spin it, and it picks what movie we're going to cover next on the show. And then that's what we do. So, Ryan, tell us what you do to make the show actually move forward beat to beat.
So we just kind of were winging it at first. We did do another podcast series called Screen Heroes, where we covered like a superhero movies and things like that.
I like the hesitation. We did 252 episodes, and he's like, "What was that show?" We did.
But yeah, then we decided to move to this, and so we were trying to use that old format, and it didn't really work. So I ended up just starting to take kind of just notes, essentially, of interesting things that happened in the movies, and we just kind of go piece by piece throughout the movies and give kind of a critical score at the end, as well as a caginess score for, the people that watch a Nic Cage movie specifically for that reason. They could go by that. And we have like a 4-sector diagram of where movies fall between caginess and serious and good and bad. So,
and we also have a Cage-O bingo. We play bingo. We created bingo cards.
I like
for
that.
Nic Cage tropes.
Yeah, basically after like the first 20 movies, we started to see some recurring themes through some of the movies. So yeah, we made a bingo card of it, and so we have our little Cage-O bingo episodes occasionally too.
That's excellent. What made you start going into Nicolas Cage movies?
So a couple of years back, when we still had Screen Heroes, we decided to do Merry Cagemas. And Ryan picked 3 Nicolas Cage movies that we were going to cover on the show, to our third host's chagrin. And we just really enjoyed it. We had a really good time with that. And we both really like Nicolas Cage movies. And so we thought, hey, if we're not doing Screen Heroes anymore, what could we do that our other host, my wife, would not be interested in doing at all?
I was wondering where that was going to come around, like who the third host was. And
is that why it ended? Was because you did this thing?
No.
More ended because of COVID. We used to do it in person, and when COVID happened, we started doing it over Zoom, and it just wasn't the same. So we kind of just decided to, let it die its own natural death and move on to something else.
I do have one question that is more topical before we get into it. What came first, the idea for the podcast or the name?
The idea for the podcast.
We went the other way.
We went the other way.
Also didn't do any research because there's other cage matches.
But as we declared last week, we've left them in the dust.
Yeah, we're top cage match.
Yeah.
Come at us.
Yeah, you guys, I actually knew of your podcast when we started because, of course, I believe that Nic Cage is our one true God and our Lord and Savior. And I had seen some art on a small little indie website called Reddit.
Never heard of it.
And so, yeah, I had already followed your guys' podcast. So when you reached out, I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are like celebrities of the very niche Nic Cage podcasting world. So of course we have to be guests.
We're getting super incestual this season.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go for it.
I've claimed that we're like creating the web ring of Nic Cage podcasts. For the children out there, web rings used to just be like clusters of websites.
I more view you guys as like the Nick Fury of the Nic Cage or of the Nic Cage podcasting world. So you guys are forming the Avengers. Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Oh, didn't I pitch this like we pick like the best Nic Cages within this established universe to like form a team of Avengers?
No, but you did now.
Oh.
Good job.
No, I know. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the animal fucking, what's his name?
Paddington Bear.
Rob Schneider.
No, the Schneiderverse. That was it.
Oof.
The Justice League of the Schneiderverse.
We had a run of Rob Schneider reviews on our other podcast,
We
so
did.
we're very familiar. Yeah,
They're so bad.
Totally accidental.
it was what Demolition Man, Surf Ninjas.
I love Surf Ninjas. I own that DVD.
He's in Judge
It was a bunch of
Dredd.
just
His
we didn't
role in
even
Dredd's
plan
great.
it out. It was Judge Dredd. Yeah, we didn't even plan it out. It just happened to be like 3 Rob Schneider movies or 4 Rob Schneider movies in a row.
Ugh,
I think I
horrible.
accidentally watched Judge Dredd and then the next day watched Demolition Man and was like, holy shit, it's just more Rob Schneider.
You can never get away from the man.
I thought I could.
That's right.
So do you guys have a preference for which movie you want to kind of discuss first? Obviously, we've got 2 super uplifting, heartfelt films.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about what we actually do on this podcast, shouldn't we?
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, give the rundown on that.
So Nick, Peter, and I have bracketed out Nicolas Cage's top 64
4.
films, and we are now in round 2, so top 32. I went to art school. I don't fucking math. And this week we are facing off Pig and the Frozen Ground. I almost said Left Behind. I'm like, no.
Don't bring that one back.
Because that's what it was the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 uplifting films.
When I read the description, I was like, how are we comparing these 2 films? It doesn't seem very fair, but turns out that's basically what every episode you guys do is. So,
Yes, we love an unbalanced bracket.
well, that's how brackets work, right? You take the top seed versus the lowest seed. So I get it.
Yeah.
Peter actually found a nice little connective tissue for these
I did.
2. Yeah. That these are 2 kind of untested like directors who this is like their first and kind of only film.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was the first for the director of The Frozen Ground, but
Yeah, it was his first. He actually had some frustration about what the studio would or would not let him do.
Weird, because
What-
that movie, they do a lot.
What did he want to do?
Yeah.
Did he want to make it more like 8mm or?
No, I think it was more of just, the executives had final cut and he wanted final cut.
Well, we should petition for the Snyder cut of this and or the Schneider cut. Just let Rob Schneider come in and recut the movie.
Well, if Zack Snyder was the director, it would have a lot more hallelujah in it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot of unnecessary slow motion.
It would have been an extra hour long.
We could re-release it.
I mean, that would have been the
the
song in the end credits. That's for sure.
For sure.
So the frozen ground then.
Yeah,
That's
we're
what we're
already
talking
talking
about.
about it.
Looks like we're into it.
Do you guys want to give us a quick breakdown of this film?
Yeah, I watched it this morning. Yeah, great way to start a Sunday morning. So 1983, Anchorage, Alaska. That's where we are. And Nicolas Cage plays Sergeant Jack Holcomb, who is going to be investigating a series of seemingly unrelated missing persons and deaths of young women, roughly 18 to 25-year-old. And Vanessa Hudgens plays Cindy Paulson, who is the kind of one who gets away and might break the case against this unknown serial killer.
When you say the one who gets away, it just makes me think like Great White Buffalo. Like she's the unattainable like symbol of virtue and goodness for the killer.
I mean,
like, oh,
as far as John Cusack's Robert Hansen is concerned, you might as well be. It's a heavy film. It's based on true events. It's based on real stuff. Pretty heavy. Definitely not a good time.
Yeah, so stop laughing, Sean.
These based on actual events movies always throw me for a loop because like we did Snowden like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was so like masturbatory and you never really know what was real and what wasn't. It just felt like self-indulgent by the person that made it. This, you don't know what was real and what wasn't, what was manufactured for the movie and what actually happened in real life. And of course I didn't do any research to know how much of it was real and how much of it wasn't. But you never really know how to take these, or at least I don't know how to take these for, the amount of truth in them.
Tisk. I researched.
Did you? So how much of it was true then?
Actually, a lot of it. They removed an FBI person, actual real existing human being. They removed him and kind of rewrote what he accomplished as part, mainly what Nicolas Cage does and a couple of the other cops to kind of keep the pace going. But most of the stuff that happened in this movie was fairly accurate. There's a bit later in the interrogation sequence that's not, but I don't want to like jump too far ahead.
Oh, that's totally our thing is disjointed conversations.
Well, okay. So, the interrogation scene has a very A Few Good Men vibes to it, right? Where they're just arguing back and forth and he's trying to get John Cusack to confess and all that. It didn't get that heated in reality. In reality, he confessed to 7 murders when they matched the shell casing to his guns. And apparently, this I didn't know, if you kill 7 people, it's a lighter sentence than if you kill more than 7 people.
So 7 murders, and he still got like 99 years as a sentence. Like, does it matter? Lighter?
Well, so he ended up confessing to more later.
I mean, you got time to kill at that point.
What
You got
they do?
99 years.
Time to kill.
They just kept kind of, for no pun intended, they kept digging and just continued to find more and more evidence.
You're on a podcast called Cage Match. Puns are fine.
Yeah, you're good. I'm kind of curious, how accurate was 50 Cent's wig?
Oh God.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell if it was a wig or not. It was just very realistic, That's where the budget for the movie went. Besides Nic Cage, they spent it on that hairpiece.
Kind of makes me want like somebody to have a Nic Cage's supporting cast like memorabilia collection. Just like get the 50 Cent wig, get
Pedro Pascal's mustache.
Yeah, but that's probably his real mustache.
No, you just shave it off.
Just shave it right off into a Ziploc bag and keep it around.
As a fellow,
like in your wallet.
As
Have you
someone
ever
of
shaved a
Chilean
mustache
heritage,
off? Like it just comes off in one.
So one time I shaved off, I had a fair amount of facial hair and I worked in a bar and this bartender, she was always giving me shit about it because it never looked good. But I shaved it off and I was going to sew it into a little pillow and have her boyfriend slip it inside of her pillowcase so that my beard hair was just under her face. I have terrible idea.
You know you're a criminal, right?
No, it never happened, so it's fine. I'm criminal adjacent.
Did it not happen for lack of trying, or?
Right. I would say it didn't happen if I was on a podcast that was being recorded and published on the internet as well. So good on you.
Yeah. I've learned one or two things.
Allegedly put hair into a pillow.
Yeah. I thought it might have been a good idea, but we steered away from it. Did safer things with it.
So you guys hadn't seen this movie before, right?
No, this was at least my first viewing. Yeah.
What did you think overall?
On an objective viewpoint, like from if we were going to grade it on our show, which we will do, I'm not going to give away what my score would be, but it would not be outside of what I would consider like an average Nic Cage movie in terms of quality. The subject matter is obviously very heavy, but when you're comparing it to something like the other movie that we're talking about, Pig, it's just not even close. And especially if you're going to a movie to see the Cage, you really want to see it, him unleashed. You get nothing of that in this movie. You don't get anything of that in the other movie either, but there's other things in the other movie that make it stand out and still be something to enjoy. So yeah, this movie, I wouldn't really put anything outside of the average category.
I definitely feel like it's in the realm of Nic Cage movies, it's a pretty decent thriller, only because there aren't a whole lot of Nicolas Cage thrillers. Otherwise, it's a serviceable movie that I'm not upset about watching. It kind of just exists in that one flat level.
Yeah, if you're a fan of like Law and Order or like those kind of movies where you're the crime solving movies.
Yeah, show it to your boomer dad.
Yeah, then you probably would enjoy this more than I do. I didn't really enjoy. I don't enjoy that type of film, but Nic Cage was the only reason why I kept my interest for the most part.
We'll say Cusack puts in a really good performance.
Well, Cusack was pretty good too. Yeah.
Like his little freak out at the end, like the spittle. I'm like, that's good crazy.
Yeah, he had a fine performance.
Yeah.
He plays a good bad guy, or at least a good creepy guy.
Like he went from like kind of young heartthrob to just he's aged into that, like into his face, the face of a serial killer.
Right.
I know you said young heartthrob, but really the first movie that came to mind for me was High Fidelity. And I'm like, he's kind of a creep in that too.
He really is.
He's he's grown into that. He's grown into a serial killer face.
Yeah.
You always had it, buddy. Now you fit it.
Alleged serial killer face.
Yeah.
Right.
I did find it interesting seeing the FBI agent from Breaking Bad in this also as like is that the only role he plays? I feel like he's typecast, to be just that role. Exactly.
He's got cop face. He's like a poor man's Michael Chiklis.
He's supposedly a really cool dude though. But yeah, he is just always like a fucking fed. I don't know. He just has that face and bald head, I guess.
Yeah, he just looks like a cop. There was one interesting thing for me in this movie. I don't know how much of our other podcasts you guys listen to, but I am a huge Ghostbusters fan. And there's two actors that share a scene in this movie, a couple scenes that are from the second Ghostbusters movie. And I don't think I've seen those two together in any other movie.
I didn't catch this.
Go on.
Yeah. So when they're trying to get the warrant to go get the guy's house. So you get if you remember in Ghostbusters 2, World of the Psychic with Venkman, the guy that predicts the world is going to end on New Year's Day. I can't remember what year it is, but he is one of the guys in that office. And then the other guy, I remember works for the mayor's office. He's not like the EPA guy, but he's like an antagonist from the mayor's office. They are both in a couple of scenes together in this movie. I thought that was interesting. It was like a reunion, 20 years later.
That's fun.
So one of the things that we've noticed as watching these movies the second time is all these different overlaps with all these actors. And it's really pretty interesting how frequently these people kind of like cross paths. We didn't have a ton in these movies, but, just in general, I think that's pretty fascinating. And that's a cool, weird Ghostbusters 2 deep cut.
It was a deep cut. Yeah, you have to be a real fan for that.
There is a little connection to Con Air here. Yeah, Con Air. So John Cusack and Nic Cage, right? They just basically have flipped roles in Con Air.
I forgot he was in Con Air.
Nick's not playing a serial killer or anything, but he's the convict.
Did you see John Cusack's sandals in that? He was totally still a creep. So,
But he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So
he was
Allegedly.
the creep we had to root for.
Allegedly a good guy, right?
Yeah.
allegedly, he's out creeped by Steve Buscemi. So
Yeah. Oh,
it's hard to notice.
You must
true.
mean former president or future president Steve Buscemi, Garland Green.
yeah. Hey, Garland Green did nothing wrong.
Oh, Con Air. What a fucking movie.
It's a solid one.
I love it.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that one. We haven't gotten to any of the Holy Trinity on our podcast yet, so hopefully we'll get there.
So on your second view of this for you two,
Mhm.
what did you guys think? Did you notice anything different? Did you have different feelings about this movie?
I noticed Sean sitting eerily close to me.
Oh yeah, they watched it together
yeah.
versus season 1 they watched individually. So
I was allegedly quite high.
No, God, I don't think this one offered anything new
No.
on additional viewings for me. It moves along. There's no mystery in the movie, so it's not like you lose out on anything aside from like, how are they going to nail him? But they sort of give that up with Chekhov's bracelet in the beginning.
It was super obvious. As soon as the bracelet came in, you're like, of course, this is going to be what catches the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
No other person offers up any kind of physical objects, and it's like, oh, she never took it off. We both always wear these.
it's a perfect matching pair.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's definitely a good way to nail John Cusack.
Well, it's just any movie, any of these like based on real event films. They have to pay some deference to the people who have died and the families that still live. So these are usually pretty matter of fact, like beat for beat throughout.
Yeah, there's no
So-
Benny Hill chase scenes.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Although you speed
No
up,
respect for the fallen that way.
you speed
That was the director's cut, I think.
Yeah, the Schneider
you know,
cut.
you speed up the chase sequence with 50 Cents where he gets shot. Put some Benny Hill music into that. That could be fun.
One of our Keijo bingo slots is for slow motion car chases because they seem to happen a lot in his movies.
I do love car chases. I love all chases.
And
Boat
both.
chases are
Especially
my favorite.
slow motion.
Oh yeah,
The ones where they're going like 25 miles an hour, but it's supposed to feel like they're going much faster. Those are the best
yeah,
ones.
they're like busting through a school zone. It's like 20 miles an hour, but they got a shaky cam, so it's all fine. It's like
we could get a ticket that costs double to pay. We better be careful.
That's 30% of the film's budget. We can't afford a ticket.
We've all seen Mom and Dad. Well, I don't know. Have you guys seen Mom and Dad yet?
No, we have not done Mom and Dad yet.
You guys are in for a treat.
It's something.
We've heard that before. Honestly, once you've seen like our bottom 10 of them, there's probably nothing that's gonna surprise us anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, I did listen to your guys' Zandali
Oh God,
episode. I like to go for the ones that I'm gonna have like.
they're gonna give you PTSD flashbacks.
Well, there's no conflict, and yeah, it's like this is a terrible, weird, shitty movie, and let's see what this other person reacted to it as.
Yeah, well, hopefully you enjoyed that. I mean, it was you probably enjoyed it more than we enjoyed watching the actual movie.
I mean, I enjoyed watching Zandali, but I don't think I enjoyed it from a critical eye. I enjoyed it because it's like, why is Judge Reinhold?
It's a car wreck,
Like, why is Steve Buscemi in this movie like 3 times?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's just a criminal on like work release that runs away.
I was gonna say, going back to the frozen ground and tropes and things like that, and our bingo cards and things. This movie, I think, I haven't studied this, but I think had the most nudity that we've seen yet.
Yeah, Zondali has quite a bit of nudity.
Yeah, Zondali definitely does.
I think this one beats Zondali. I do.
Yeah, Zondali was dominantly one, like the female actress. I can't remember her name.
Zondali.
Zondali, her boobs. And then one of you noticed a hint of Judge Reinhold's sack, I think.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Which I think I missed, but
I
I'll have to
missed that.
rewatch.
And I think there was a little bit of Nick dick cleavage too, if I remember right.
Ooh,
In a couple of scenes.
Oh.
the old cum gutters.
Wait,
There's been a couple of times I think we've seen a hint of ball in these Nick Cage movies. I can't remember what the other one was. Wait, what was? Oh,
There's City of Angels. Nick Cage has a modesty sack.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
yeah. That might have been one where I think I saw a glimpse of Sack. But yeah, now that I know that he had a modesty thing on, it's less exciting.
We'll never know until we meet the man.
Yeah.
And then stop doing this podcast.
too, on our last episode, we're going to interview him. We can't end it until that happens.
Yeah.
So
we've decided that
Or he
as soon
stops
as
making
we meet
movies.
him, we'll end it.
Yeah, we were.
So it doesn't matter where in the
He can
the
stop
bracket it
this.
is.
The three
He
of
can
us.
help everyone.
Yeah, the three of us were in Vegas last week, and we're like, if we see Nic Cage, we have to stop the podcast.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we've said pretty much everything we're going to actually say about the Frozen Crown.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do like the quick rundown. We probably know where it's going to go, but good, bad, good,
yeah,
good, bad, bad, good.
we're like on the Venn diagram of good Cage, good movie, bad Cage, bad movie, good, bad, bad, good. Where would you put Cage and this film?
It's good. I think it's good. I think he's good. I think he's balanced out well by John Cusack giving a great performance. I thought Vanessa Hudgens put out a great performance as well. It's a good movie. It's not spectacular or anything like that. But like Ryan said, it's average. It's fine.
it's more like, good Cage, average movie. If it's 4 squares or whatever, then it would be somewhere on one of the lines for average.
Yeah, it's very close to the middle there.
Yeah, just
Chaotic neutral.
put it on after Thanksgiving dinner and let the family kind of zone out.
Let grandma, yeah.
Yeah, let grandma
Grandma
do her thing. She's going to forget anyways. I love my
Also,
grandma.
we do need to make the alignment chart of Nic Cage
Like a chaotic neutral Nic Cage chart.
for future
That
things.
sounds like a thing that I'm going to do.
Yeah, physical media, that generally falls on Peter.
Anything that isn't talking into a
Yeah.
microphone generally falls on Peter.
Physical jokes are me. Physical media is Peter.
Segues are me.
Yeah,
Mm.
we all have our roles.
Yeah.
Some of them are important. Some of them are us.
Yeah. Nick, where would you put this on the Venn diagram?
I'm comfortable saying it's a good. I mean, it's not a remarkable performance by Nic Cage, but it exacts like everything you want for the film.
Yeah.
He's not disrespectful because it's, real people. And the movie it moves fine. There's no like stuttering in the action or anything like that. You sit down, you watch it, it's an hour and 45 minutes. Boom.
Yeah.
You're good.
It goes at a pretty good clip. And yeah, I'd say it's a good performance, a sedate performance, but that is kind of what these things are. And yeah, I mean, rewatching it, I was enthralled by it. I was, interested in what was happening. I wasn't bored. So yeah, good film.
Had 50 Cent.
Had 50 Cent.
The scene where he dies, though, was a little confusing to me because I don't know what he was trying to accomplish.
Like double cross the dude, or
I think so, but he could have explained that to Cindy at some point.
well, she couldn't
Right.
have been a very good prostitute because he didn't want to trust her acting.
Damn it.
What?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Pig.
Yeah, Pig. So that's the story of a homeless looking dude who lives in the woods and picks truffles with his porcine friend
That he does not have sex
porcine
with.
friend that he does not have sex with, and trades them for batteries from a very well dressed man who doesn't like his life.
Yeah, you nailed it.
That's, yeah, pretty spot on.
Then the pig disappears, and we have an inciting incident that
Yeah.
brings us to exciting incidents.
The pig is physically removed from the premises. Nic Cage gets properly bonked with a frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
I love the sound of frying pan on skull.
It was a really good frying pan on skull sound effect.
Yeah.
Brought me back.
That's how you get amnesia. I'm surprised he even remembered he had a pig.
When we watched this, I had already seen it a couple of times before, but Derek viewed it for the first time for our review, which I think was like a month ago or 6 weeks ago. So he had a very fresh experience with it, which it was enjoyable to talk to him about it because of that. Because I already knew what was happening and I knew how great it was, but he hadn't seen it. So, but yes, this movie for me is one of the top Nic Cage movies, period, as far as like quality. It's just really, really good.
Yeah, same. This is, I mean, I watched it with Nick a week ago and I watched it again this week just because I wanted to. This is one of my favorite like discoveries through this grand adventure of ours.
Yeah, this has been a real standout, like golden child kind of movie for such an indie sort of film. When it was first coming out, like all like advertising media had me thinking that this was going to be like Nic Cage's John Wick.
Yeah.
With it,
Mhm.
it absolutely is not.
He kicks no asses.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked.
A lot.
Kick ass.
More
More
like
like ass
kick.
kick.
Doesn't even make sense, Dad.
But that's what I thought it was too. Like, because I when I want to see a movie, I try not to overload with trailers and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I thought it was John Wick with a pig. Yeah. That's what I was expecting. But it's obviously not that. It's a much more nuanced, emotional, thoughtful experience. This movie has one of my all-time favorite movie scenes, by the way, not just Nic Cage, just across the board. And it's when he goes to the restaurant for Chef Finway, who is played by David Nell. And he's, more or less Nick is monologuing to this guy through 90% of this scene. But the way it's shot, the way that the camera moves back and forth between the two, the way Nick delivers his lines, it is just one of the most interesting, like just encompassing scenes. I can't take my eyes away from it. I just love it. I love this movie.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. That is my favorite scene in this film, and one of my favorite just scenes in general. He just tears that man down. That whole none of this is real. You aren't real because you've never shown them what it is you do. And just, he breaks that man so good.
And even before that, he just he spluts his finger into that scallop or whatever, deconstructed scallop. And it just goops out a little bit. It's this is just garbage. It's highfalutin garbage.
And I love that because Chef Fenway he wanted to have an Irish pub. Right. And that's my kind of food, right? I like burgers. I like fried food. I like pizza. I like normal food. I don't really go for the pretension that this restaurant is portraying. And so I think my biases kind of blend in a little bit.
I forgot how just quiet this film is. It uses a lot of ambient noise, and just there are so many scenes of just not talking.
And it's got a really subtle score too. Yeah. And at times it even drops out the score.
Yeah.
Which I think it handles the silence really well. And it's reflected in Nic Cage's character always shutting off the radio and his just preference for actually existing in the world like he does out in the woods, where it's just no artificial, being. It's his just life and connection to everything.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite scenes still is him hanging out with Handpan and just
Handpan's a
talking about
champ.
persimmons. Yeah. And it's such a peaceful scene, and just thinking about how weird it is that this super homeless looking bloodied man is just going to hang out, and this kid is hey, do you want to play my handpan and tell me what a persimmon is?
That kid has no survival instincts.
No, I mean, he's toast.
No stranger danger.
But great kid. So Derek, what was your take on this movie? I mean, you were thinking John Wick, but what did you really feel from it?
I mean, this is just a deeply emotional movie, right? We talk about how it is very quiet, and Nic Cage's character, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Robin. He is just a very focused on solitude and quiet, and everything he does is very paced, is very thoughtful, is very methodical, right? When because it has those different sections, and it always has to do with a piece of food. And at the beginning of the movie, you watch him make that quiche, right? And you're just watching this dude who looks like a mountain man, right, living in this little shack, and he's making a Michelin star dish in this little shack somewhere, and eating bagel bites while watching the movie. And it's just a very
as it was intended.
As it was, right, exactly. Every scene takes its time. There's nothing that's really rushed in this movie. A lot of Nic Cage's movies are action films, right? They're mob films, or he's a cop, or something like that. And they're very quick, and there's car chases, whether they're good or not, and there's fight scenes, whether they're good or not. This is a much more paced film. That's really kind of the best word that I have for it. And his performance, being able to put that much emotion on the screen when not talking, is a big deal. I think this really shows his range more than he gets to.
I mean, this movie really just works because of him. He is this film. This film is just that performance.
Yeah, and it really showed a real emotive side of him that, you're saying, you don't get ever.
Well, it handles so many different things so well. It's very solemn. It can be very serious, but it's also very funny at times. Him getting the truck started up. You have this 90-second him pouring the gas into it, him having to recharge the battery, him driving off, and we were watching it with the subtitles or a closed caption on, and it just engine explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes it like 100 feet before the truck blows up. Yeah.
And then just walks. And then he goes to he goes to the diner, asks for Marge. It's like, who's been dead for 10 years. Like, can I use your phone? You going to buy something? No.
I like that. Like, it's such a unique character that he's so disconnected from the world. His only connection to any other human being is a mirror because he's just trading the truffles for supplies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, he doesn't need anybody.
You like this car? You like that shirt? Just such an asshole. And then like Amir has these really kind of thoughtful moments with him where he talks about his mom who killed herself and like the one happy memory he has of his parents. And Rob just kind of like goes off on this rant about how all of this entire city will be underwater one day and everyone's going to die.
He definitely like took a step too far once his wife passed away. And like, I've seen people kind of crack under like deeply emotional, like duress in their lives. And it usually leads to people thinking that the moon landing's not real and things like that.
Right.
Or that 9/11 happened. I don't know. But
I need to stop laughing when you make those jokes.
it's never not
We're
funny.
complicit.
It's been 20 years. It's fine.
Yeah, you can joke about it after 20 years, right?
That's strictly because
We have a really idiotic friend.
no, he's not even our friend. He
No,
just
he's
lives
just a person
in the
in our
neighborhood.
neighborhood.
I don't think he does anymore. I haven't seen him in months.
That's
Maybe
because
fine.
he's been 86th from every
That's
bar in
true.
town in all of Seattle.
Yes.
He lives in Portland now.
Oh, does he?
No,
Oh.
I have no idea.
I hope not. I have to go down there sometimes.
He's a chef in Portland, from what I hear.
He gets his ass fucking beat every night.
Now that I believe.
Yeah, the food fight club or whatever that was.
So Nick and I were trying to figure out what the rules were there, like who was making money, how were people making money.
Well, you know what the first rule is. You don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I thought it was going to be like French fries.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Basically, people are just betting on how long the person will stay up without falling to the ground when they're getting
I
pummeled.
kind of took it like they were bidding on the right to beat the homeless person up.
Because it was tied to the like chef and restaurant scene, I thought it was like a way for people who work in the dregs of a restaurant to get their like pound of flesh
That's what I
against
Mhm.
a chef, against their, their sous, whoever it might be, where they can like take out aggression, but that person also gets the fucking money for
The
just
chef?
like taking a beating.
Yeah. That's kind of what I got. I still love this film. Like, I will happily watch this film again. It's what, like
Yeah, no
92
question.
minutes. It's like super quick.
It packs everything you want from the movie into an hour and a half and more.
And we do get a proper Nick Cage freak out. Kicking the shit out of the car, stealing that guy's bike and just screaming in his face.
Oh, yeah. Stealing the bike was good.
Well, and the emotional freak out at, finding out that his pig has been killed,
Mhm.
like
Another
that
great
breakdown feels really
silent
visceral.
moment because
Right.
like, that's when like the audio cuts out and you just see him collapse and just cry. And that scene still just,
Well, because I like the big reveal that he doesn't need the pig because of the truffles.
Right.
Right. It's just his best friend.
Exactly. Like there's actually a relationship there. There's companionship there. He can find the truffles. That's nothing to him. I appreciated that.
Yeah, there's that huge pause, and he just goes, "I love her."
Yeah.
It's okay.
See, I feel like I'm a little weird compared to you guys because like movies like this, although this one's kind of lesser than some of the other movies that are on my list, but I don't really enjoy rewatching movies like this that are depressing. Leaving Las Vegas with another Nic Cage one that was a really, really good movie, or maybe Joe was another one that was a really good movie, but it was just super fucking depressing. And I'm good watching it once and experiencing that, but I don't have a desire to rewatch it because this one was a little bit of an exception because I knew Derek was going to be watching it for the first time, and I wanted to make sure I had a fresh experience to discuss with him on that. But in general, movies like this, I'm not interested in rewatching it again. It's just same with Frozen Ground, really. I mean, it's just so depressing. I have enough depressing things happening in my life, and we all have that in the world. Having to rewatch depressing crap on TV is, I don't know.
I will say though, I think the only thing I disagree with you on that is that it does end up on an uplifting note. I mean, he's finally able to listen to his wife's message and song to him. You know, it's like
he has a friend.
He has some closure. He has a friend. You know.
No, you're right.
I don't know. The overall, I don't leave the movie all smiles. You know, that's what it comes. And I don't. A lot of movies are that way, but these are particularly depressing. The ones I named off, I feel like.
I take so much solace from this film because I love the fact that it's got kind of it's got a sad ending. It's a bit of a bummer at times, but it has a very uplifting message of just even the people we lose, we still have them through our shared memories, through our shared experience, through food, and that just I find that so. This movie uplifts me quite a bit, actually.
I mean, I can appreciate that it doesn't, like you said, end on the most dreary note compared to some of the other movies I listed. But I would say overall, it's still, unfortunately, as it's a lovely movie. It's well acted, it's well made, and I would never discount any of that. But it's not high on my list of movies to rewatch.
I think that's fair.
As a non-rewatcher, generally myself, like I can understand why you would come to that. I have to just grin and bear it because the nature of this is I am going to continue to rewatch sad movies if we continue to push them forward, and we have no choice this time but to push a sad movie.
It's true.
For me, this one kind of stands in a different space than the others because it's such a different story. It's a different way of telling a story. Joe, just for example, right, is just about a lot of really sad domestic stuff that is a pretty normal story. As sad as that is a pretty normal story. It's just executed really well. Leaving Las Vegas maybe is a little bit different. You don't really see too many stories about a person like literally drinking themselves to death on purpose. But this is just such a unique way of talking about it. The focus on food, the focus on such a different type of person, and the fact that he wasn't always the way that he is. He used to just be one of these chefs, right? And kind of just the journey that he had to go through to get to where we meet him, let alone where he goes through the film, is just very different for me. So I don't mind this exception.
Yeah, the art house element of this movie really kind of provides its attraction. Like if Michael Bay directed this, it wouldn't be the same, but then the pig would have jumped over something and exploded.
Or transformed.
Ooh, cool.
Lots of explosions.
Yeah. And I do want to give credit to the director because I do love he manages to do something so interesting with, they build up this mystery as to who this character is. And when we finally find out Robin Feld, the viewer has no idea who that is, but they do such a great job of world building and showing the people around him reacting to that even though we don't know who it is, we know it matters. And it's kind of a big deal. And it's kind of like a moment.
Did you guys see that Michael Sarnowski is going to be directing a prequel to The Quiet Place?
Yeah.
And the director of photography is also doing that one too.
Nice.
So I imagine that's going to be beautiful and probably pretty well done.
Yeah.
Much credit as we give to Nic Cage on this movie. Like you mentioned, it's not the director did a great job, but basically everybody involved in this film really came to do their job, because you're talking about, the musical mix, the score, the use of silence as a tool, the writers with the way they used Portland as a character in its own right. There's just a lot of people that came together and really had their A game on for this movie for sure. So as much as we love Nick, we definitely have to give credit to everybody involved on that.
The director, Michael Sarnowski, he did write it. So this dude pulled double duty on this. Like,
that's impressive,
right? Like, this was his first major film. That's very promising.
We talked about this a bit on the first time we reviewed it. This movie was made on a shoestring budget with a very short window to film. They hit the ground running and just made it work. It's just amazing that this movie exists.
Right. Like, didn't they only have like 3 weeks or something like that to shoot the thing? 20 days. They had 20 days. Wow.
That's
wild. Can you imagine?
That's why they didn't wash the blood off of him.
Well, I remember reading on IMDb, so, take it with a grain of salt, saying that the plan was, to kind of clean him up as the days went on. But during early shooting, when he was all fucked up, he just walked over across the street to get coffee, and no one in Portland looked twice at him. So they're just like, fucking great. Just leave him fucked up. Just go.
And I'm sure that's got to be harder for the makeup crew, right? And all those people who are responsible for continuity and all of that on set to get the bleeding right and the hair right when it's supposed to be a mess. And it's just really well done.
And as you watch it, like his face like swells more as the movie goes on. So
He gets more mush mouth too. He does a good job.
So on the Venn diagram, good, bad, bad, good, good, bad, 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 good, bad.
Yeah, surprise me with this
You
one.
nailed it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, if I feel like if it's in the same square as Frozen Ground, then they're like in opposite corners.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to put it in that same square for me. But if those are the only four, options, then yeah, it's definitely good on the most extreme end of it.
Yeah, this is a gold star. It's going to continue to just dominate. I feel it's
Like Ghost Rider before it.
a powerhouse performance, and
Like Ghost Rider before it.
yeah.
I did listen to that episode, and so I have thoughts about a lot of things that a lot of you guys said, or a couple of you guys said.
Wait, did you listen to Ghost Rider 1 or Ghost Rider? Sorry, the first time we did Ghost Rider or the second time we did?
No, I listened to the season 2.
Oh, okay.
That's a better one. Peter yelled at us less than that one.
I wanted to get a more current, episode, so I knew what I was getting into.
Smart.
See, that was smart. I didn't do that, and I listened to It Could Happen to You and Racing with the Moon.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
Also a good choice.
Yeah.
I did love Racing with the Moon. I still feel sad that we couldn't push it forward.
Just couldn't go. It wasn't enough of a Nic Cage.
Yeah, I love that bowling alley set though with
Yeah.
the pin setter. Like
Yeah.
you don't
Dance
get to
moves.
see cool stuff like that. Yeah, and Crispin Glover.
Crispin
Yeah.
Glover's in it.
I love Crispin Glover.
Young Nick Cage looked good, like in a tank top, like that. Moonstruck, dude was jacked.
Bird
Yeah.
of Freedom, don't come cheap.
Cum gutters.
Well, so not that your opinions matter in this arena, but what would you push forward if given the choice?
If you do feel bad pushing it forward, making you guys watch it again, if I was just doing it on being nice to you guys, I would put Frozen Ground through so you don't have to watch Pig again. But it seems like you guys enjoy watching Pig over and over again, even as depressing as I found it. So, Pig is going forward for me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, and I'm not to insult the Frozen Ground. It's not a bad movie, but this is Pig is fantastic.
Yeah, we do live in the world of the gray, so just being depressed on a base level is pretty normal for
That's
us in
your
the Northwest.
normal
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah.
Seattle.
We get our 8 hours of sunlight a day, and that's about all we can hope for.
You get 8 hours of sunlight a day?
I don't know what time's the sun come up. No, it's like
Oh, you mean just the city you live in? I thought you meant you.
Or you're standing out in the sun for 8 hours like a plant.
I'm probably the only one here who could do that and not die.
Yeah, I would be burnt to fuck.
Yeah. Melanin. It's great.
I would get fired if I was just standing outside all day. So that's fine.
Got to get my 8 hours, boss.
Yeah, just standing out there like
was a
regenerating,
sign.
like I'm fucking Captain Planet or some shit. Like, oh.
So Nick, what would you like to see go forward?
I'm gonna go Pig.
I'm gonna go Pig.
Yeah,
I
Fuck you,
also
Peter.
will go Pig.
Oh, all right.
Actually, no, the Frozen Ground.
Go
'cause
Pig or
fuck
go home.
you.
Yeah, go. Pig
fuck
or
you,
go home.
Peter.
What do we got next time, Pete?
Oh, I should probably know the answer to that as the producer of this show.
Primal and Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh, yeah. So next week we've got Wicker Man and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So that's going to be a fucking
It's
blast.
gonna be a banger.
Nice.
Yep.
It'll be a fun double feature for Nick and I.
Mhm,
Yep.
mhm. Don't worry, I still have drugs.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, thank you guys for coming on here. It was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
You wanna tell us where people can hear your guys' podcast and what you've got coming up soon?
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Go to Coming of Cage, comingofcage.com. Find Coming of Cage on your podcast app of choice or our YouTube channel, what have you. We will be dropping our in-depth review of The Frozen Ground since we did watch it. We broke our rules for you guys.
Aw.
So,
That's
just
right.
for you.
But also because of that, we don't know what's coming up after Frozen Ground. So, we can't give it because it's all random.
We're going to flip an episode. So we're actually after Frozen Ground is Season of the Witch.
Oh,
nice.
That was a close cut for us.
Yeah, we almost put that one in.
Yeah. We got weird at the end because it was just like, I don't know. How do you pick fucking 64 of these things?
That's fair.
Well, and it's tough because like in Snowden, he's in like 2-3 scenes in the whole movie.
Right.
Guy's got like 6 minutes of screen time.
Right. So for the completionist, you've got to watch it. But like, for this podcast, it's like you're only going to talk about the 6 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I guess this one wins. So long, everyone.
Yeah.
That's an easy victory.
Yeah, right.
Join us next time.
We could probably get away with just sampling his entire role in the movie, playing it on the podcast,
Getting sued.
No, it's only 6 minutes.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure 30 seconds is the cutoff, but
Yeah,
Just add fart noises.
that'll
It's
solve.
transition. It's transgressive or whatever the word.
I
is.
didn't realize fart noises were allowed. I would have put more on Mike.
You have.
Yeah. We're a class act.
Yeah, thanks for sparing us that.
This time.
Oh man, it was rough. I had spicy chicken and waffles for my only meal today, and I've been suffering from it. I do it for my art.
Gastrointestinal arts of some kind,
Yeah.
I assume.
There's lots of different arts. There's fine arts. There's art, you know. All right. Thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you want to chat with us, we are at cage_match_pod on Instagram or at Cage Match Pod on Reddit. We're also on Blue Sky. I don't know. Also X.
Coming
Gonna give it
to
to
a
ya.
Pornhub
Gonna
near
give it to
you.
you and coming to a Pornhub near you. Thank you for our Sparkle buddies, Josh, San, Josie, Rico, Matt, and Adam, and our cage dancers, Ira, John, Freeman, and Lance. Thank you for your support. Do, 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 do.
Bye. Bye.
Our friend had a question for you. Actually, he wanted to know if you had been to the Lebanon Candy Soda Shop.
Don't know what that is.
Oh, Lebanon, Missouri.
Oh, I thought we were talking
No.
about the Middle East or whatever.
No.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a real big draw, like asking a guy if he's traveled to the
Topical.
Middle East for soda.
What are your
I've
political
been to
leanings?
Toronto.
Let's get you canceled.
Yeah. No, apparently there's a soda factory in the middle of Missouri or something that has really weird soda flavors. So anyway, he wanted to know.
Like how weird, like toes.
Banana.
I don't think toes.
There's a market for that. You know, I tried to get Adam to carbonate like tomato juice for fizzy Bloody Marys for us one time.
I mean, I have a
He
soda
wouldn't do it.
stream.
He refused? That coward.
Coward.
He has standards whenever I ask him to do something, but if anybody else wants something, he just does it for him. Beef wine.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, when we do our photos, we have to bloody you up a little bit.
That's fair.
Good. I've been waiting for this.
Poster time.
Don't flex those limp wrists at me. You
Yeah.
can't throw a punch.
I can't.
I'll just headbutt a wall and we'll be fine.